Hello, welcome back. Here we are, activation 6 of Evolve Beyond Limits Academy. Check in. How are you? How are things going? Are you binge watching and not doing any of the integration work or experimenting with the things that we're talking about? Are you just gathering knowledge, or are you allowing this to truly do what it's here to do? Activate, expand, check in, be honest. Are you doing this full force, or are you doing it half-ass? Check in. Be honest. It's important to understand. And if you're not, this is not a place for judgment. I'm not judging you. I don't want you to judge yourself. I want you to just be aware. Just be aware of what it is and how, and the energy that you're putting into this. What is the intentionality that you're putting behind this work? Because what you put in, you will get back. And if you're only going to put in a small amount of effort, why? What are you afraid is going to happen if you go all in? If you truly allow yourself to expand fully into your fullest expression. Check in. So today we're getting into some juicy stuff. So I'm really, really excited. And we are going to talk about masculine and feminine energy. So we're going to a different type of energy. Equally as important, equally as telling, just a little bit different. And when I talk about, some people have heard this, it's out there now a little bit more. Some people haven't. And so I'm going to try to give you, or I am going to give you, an opportunity to understand the masculine and the feminine energy. Now, this has nothing to do with being male or female. Every single human being holds both of these energies within them. And the goal is to find a harmony between the two. They're weaving in and out, and they are weaving within us. And it allows us to find a harmony between the two. We need both. And I'm going to help you understand, when you're living too much in your masculine energy, what types of things you may experience and you're going to notice. And then there's also a lot of people who now are living too much in their feminine energy. And therefore, there are consequences that come with that as well. We tend to be in a very masculine energy driven world, in a constant state of doing. But we're going to talk about that in a second. But here's the thing, is that there's a sacred union that happens within each person. And that sacred union is this merging of the masculine and feminine energies within us. It is about honoring them both. And it's knowing when to fall into which one and who's going to lead. And seeing the beauty of both of them. And when you can do this, when you can fully merge these two energies within you, you come back to your wholeness. And you realize that there's not a single other person on this planet that can make you feel whole. And we think that. We desire that out of relationships and different things, because we're always looking for somebody to give us our missing piece. That will never happen. You will never feel that wholeness within you if you're always searching for it outside of you. And that is what the weaving of the masculine and feminine allows you to do, is to realize that you are a whole being. And when you bring in another being, they're just a bonus to this experience. And that's the whole essence of when I talk and I teach about Tantra. Tantra is coming back to the wholeness within you. It actually has nothing to do with another person until you can become a whole person. And one of my mentors one time said to me, like, when you bring two whole people together, that is when sacred partnerships, sacred sexuality, all of these things can come into play. Our relationships become less about a physical experience and they become more of a spiritual experience. But you bring two needy people together, there's no way. You won't have the same experience because you're relying on somebody outside of you for your happiness, for your well-being, for your feeling of being whole. So let's talk about the difference between the two. Essentially, to break it down in the most simplistic of manners, there is the masculine is the doing or the seen. The masculine within us represents a lot of times, think about it like the sun. It is bright, it is active, it is energy producing. There's all these things, comes up, goes down every single day, right? And then we've got our feminine, which is the unseen, and it's in the being. The feminine is not action oriented. It vibrates at something very different, which we'll talk about. And I think about this like the moon. The feminine it's a little more mysterious, or a lot more mysterious. It flows in a different type of cycle. And it comes out in the darkness, which is where we tap into a lot of our feminine energy. So that's a very simplistic view on the two. And then let's talk about the traits that kind of come along with each one. So when we go back to the masculine, like I said, this is where most of us this is where I lived most of my life from here, because I didn't even know that there was another option. This has been so ingrained in us as a culture that most of us are living here, and we know that it doesn't feel awesome, but we don't know that there's any other way. And so the masculine is necessary. This is where we take action. This is where logic and reason comes in. We get a lot of our clarity from taking action, which is essentially a masculine trait. We can focus in on things. We can have goals. We can have achievements that we want to get to. Our confidence bubbles up from here. We have boundaries. We're able to let go of things that no longer serve us. The masculine tends to be very result driven. I do this, I get this. It's independent, right? This is the word I've talked about. It's very self-reliant. It has a competition to it. This is our masculine energy. And there's like a divine masculine, meaning that this is like in its fullest expression in like a really good way. And then there's also there's like a toxic masculinity, or a wounded masculine would be a better word. Where these things all are taken up to an extreme. Right? Severe control, insecurity, like all of those types of things. But I'm not going to get into all of that right now. Let's just kind of stick with the types of things you're going to see. Now, there are signs that you're spending a lot of time, or maybe too much time, and there's not a harmony in your masculine energy. Feeling very overwhelmed all the time. Struggling to feel like you're enough. Feeling like you're always busy, but you're not really moving forward as quickly as you should be. My husband would say this is the difference between motion and movement. You're always in motion, but it doesn't really feel like you're making a ton of progress forward. You're terrified of failure. You may really struggle to slow down. You're always living from achievement to achievement. What's next? What's next? What's next? You don't let yourself sit in your achievement. It's always what's next. And you may struggle to do things unless you have this goal, this end result, this achievement, this thing you're trying to go towards. You may really struggle to ask for help if this is not in balance. Your mind never slows down. You're always doing everything for everyone. The masculine within us is the caregiver. Somebody asks for something, you give it to them. It's very different than when we'll get to the feminine. I talk about the nurturer, and that's a very different energy. The caregiver says, you need something, here you go. You provide, you protect. You might be really, really hard on yourself. And there's probably this need, you feel this need for control in your life. Like if you don't have control over your life, everything is going to come crumbling down. If you aren't controlling every piece, every moment, everything. So then there's the feminine. Again, this is the being, this is the unseen. And some of the traits that come with the feminine energy within us is compassion. Compassion for ourselves first and compassion for others. The nurturer. Like I said, this is different than a caregiver. The caregiver says, you need something, here you go. The nurturer, the feminine within us, somebody says, I'm struggling. And you say, let me help you discover the tools to make a shift in your life. It's a very different thing. I used to be a very caregiver, masculine energy coach or mentor. Oh, you're struggling? Let me tell you the answer. You're fixing. You might be fixing it short term, but it's more of a band-aid because you're not giving them the opportunity to figure it out for themselves, to learn a lifelong lesson, to sit in the struggle. And you can be there as a nurturer and you can hold somebody's hand through their struggle, but you can't pull them out of it. Do you know that there's a story about this woman who um there was a butterfly trying to get out of its cocoon, and she thought she was going to help it. So she opened it up and the butterfly came out, and its wings were not developed. And the reason that they weren't developed is because when a butterfly comes out of its cocoon, they push themselves out, and the blood that's within their body then disperses into their wings, giving their wings the ability to come open and come alive so that they can fly. And by this person thinking that they were helping because it was struggling to get out of the cocoon, she actually did the very opposite. And that's something that the feminine energy can get really good at sitting with and sitting in. Because sometimes we do have to allow people to struggle to actually grow and open their wings. And the masculine just wants to fix it. So think about that. The feminine is very fluid. It's flowy. It's creative. The feminine really, it thrives in community and support. And this is something that's so powerful. And even any of the 1 in activation codes, 2 in any of the programs, or if you come on an experience with me, the sisterhood. There is something about that just makes everything more epic. While the masculine tends to lead with logic, the feminine guides from the heart and from the intuition, from that feeling of I just know. I don't know how I know, but I know. It doesn't actually need a 10-step plan to get to the goals that you have. The feminine is about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, regardless of the result that comes from it. It's very big picture thinking. The feminine within us embraces vulnerability and allows you to magnetically attract what you want and what you desire in your life. So if you are out of harmony in this, then some things are going to happen. You may have really big dreams, but you struggle to take action on those big dreams. You actually struggle to focus on the things that need to be focused on. Okay. You're jumping from project to project to project without completing any of them. This means that you could be spending a little too much time in your feminine energy and not you're out of balance. You don't have enough masculine coming in. You may lack confidence in speaking your truth or showing people who you really are. You might know what your purpose is, and yet you're having a really hard time carrying it out. You may lack structure and clarity to move your life forward, or you're really insecure and you struggle to make decisions or follow through on those decisions. All of these things can mean that you're just spending a little too much time in your feminine, and we need to bring in some more of that masculine energy because there's just something out of whack. And again, the goal is not to be perfect all the time. The goal is having this information and becoming really aware when you start to fall in, and then having the tools to say, whoa, hold on. I need to pull myself back into alignment, into what feels good. So let's talk about those tools, because the thing is that the magic in life truly happens when you can learn to balance these two energies, to harmonize these two energies. And we need our masculine energy to develop plans and take action and set boundaries and have the confidence to reach our goals. It's a powerful energy. And we need the flow and the surrender and the creativity and the knowing without knowing of the feminine, or else life just becomes a lot harder than it needs to be. We get to do both. It's so fun. It's so fun. So some of the things that you can do to start to tap into these different energies is if you are leaning a little too far into the masculine and you want to start to tap into that feminine energy, start to create more stillness in your life. So can you have a morning routine filled with guilt-free me time, even if it's 5 minutes? Can you start to add some meditation and some stillness into your life? The journaling that we've been doing, all of these things bring this forward. Take time to slow down or rest when you need to. Instead of saying, what's the next thing I can do? It's, can I take a pause? Get in nature without distractions, no headphones, no podcasts, no music. Just be. Just be. Add more play to your life. We just talked about this in the last activation. What are the activities that light your soul on fire? Can you have some random dance parties? Have more fun in everything that you do. Spend time in communities and environments that light you up with people that make you feel supported and loved and accepted. Leave room for the magic to happen in your life. Leave empty space in your calendar. Allow yourself to be where your feet are. Stay present in your life. Stop doing things just for the sake of being busy. When you have a moment to pause, take the pause. If you're struggling to finish a project and it feels like you're forcing your way through it and you're trying to control it and the answers aren't coming, take some time away from it. Sink into your feminine and let that guide you to the answer or to regain your energy or whatever it is that you need to move forward with that. Ask for help. Ask for help. If you feel overwhelmed, ask for help. This used to be really hard for me, so I get it. And then surrender, release the control. Things don't have to go your way for them to go amazing. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that. There are certain things that you have got to release to something bigger than you. If you don't have a next step, write it down on a piece of paper and put it into a surrender jar. You know what? I can't carry this anymore. I surrender. And I trust that whatever's supposed to happen will happen. If you haven't been taught to tap into this feminine energy, it's a really, really powerful superpower. And it will allow you to manifest your dreams even faster than you can imagine. But if you don't have the masculine energy to take action, then you're going to fall short of those dreams. You need them both. So, how can you start to tap into your masculine energy if you've been spending a little too much time or you feel a little bit out of a balance in your feminine? Add some friendly competition to your life. Participate in like a difficult workout, train for something, set some big goal in your career or your business or your finances that kicks you into action. Build something. Use your hands. I know it sounds like, but like Is there a Pinterest transformation you've been wanting to do? Is there a weekend project you've been wanting to do? Like, what can you do that will get you going? Find a way to give back. Send some random acts of kindness. Shoot some gratitude letters out. Send some gratitude texts out. Volunteer, help a friend in some way. One thing that I love to do is when I'm in downtown Detroit, I like to go to a local coffee shop and get a couple of gift cards and then just deliver them. It's fun. Establish boundaries in your life. And this goes back to the energy from the last activation, but establish healthy boundaries. Let go of people and situations that are no longer serving you. Put yourself into environments that make you uncomfortable, that force you to grow, that force you to do it different. These are all ways that you can start to improve and really balance out that masculine energy. So I want you to go ahead and after this activation, take some time and really think like, where am I? Where am I spending too much time? Do I feel like I'm in balance of this? What do I feel like is missing? And ask yourself those questions and allow yourself to start to cultivate stillness. The only way to truly know yourself is through spending time with yourself. So what stuck out to you? What just came glaring? You were like, "Ooh, I need to do that," right? I choose to do that. Excuse me. I choose to do that. And one other thing I want you to do, I want you to think about a dream that you have, something that you've been working towards, something that you desire in your life. Maybe that has shifted and shaped its way through these different activations. And I want you to play one of my favorite games that I cannot take credit for. This is a Rob Murgatroyd thing called Stupid Idea Time. Think about that vision that you have. Think about the life that you're creating. Have a glass or two of wine if you would like to. You don't have to, right? And then give yourself 30 minutes to think of every possible idea to bring that thing to life. And here's the thing, there's literally no stupid ideas in that 30 minutes. If you think it, write it down. It might take a few minutes to really get creative and get these ideas flowing, but allow them to come up. Just start. And what's so fun about stupid idea time is that a lot of times the things that you think are crazy, you might come back to and think that's not as crazy as I thought. And almost every single thing in my life that Andrew and I have been able to create and the life that we've been able to create has come from doing something along this line of starting to think very different. And then when that happens, you merge that masculine and feminine energy. You take action and then you surrender. You take action and then you surrender. You take action and then you detach. And when you do that, your life starts to unfold in this really beautiful way because you are weaving these two energies. So try that out, take a look, and I am so excited for our last activation that is coming up, activation 7. And we're going to go into your intuition and something that we don't talk about very often. And I think it's important that you understand this superpower of yours. So until then.